I worked with 3 different marketing agencies to this day, and let me start by saying that the experience of working in a marketing agency, a digital marketing agency setting, is very unique. It's very challenging, it's very rough. I don't think everyone can take it, but it's also very rewarding. It's actually been a while since I revisited my memories from working in marketing agencies and those challenging and young days of my career. But yesterday was the final workshop session of my class that I was teaching this past semester. And one of my students asked what it's like to work in a marketing agency and how they can prepare better for the experience that's coming up for them, because next semester they will have their work terms, work semesters, and she is going to start working in a marketing agency. And since it's going to be her first time working in a marketing agency setting, she wanted to know if I had any tips for her or the rest of the class. So she asked if we had any tips to survive in a marketing agency setting, and we had a really good conversation, and it really helped me to revisit those memories and also come up with this video because I wanted to share these tips with you as well, because it's a relevant topic and these tips can really come handy if you want to know how you can survive or how you can thrive even in a marketing agency job if it's your first time, or if you're really excited about this new job that you have in an agency. Hopefully the tips that we'll talk about in this video will be helpful for you. So you're going to get familiar with what it's like to work in a marketing agency setting, as well as how you can kind of have a good experience there and how you can prepare yourself for what awaits you. If we're just meeting, my name is Elif and I'm a marketing strategist and educator, and I make weekly videos for this channel around the topics of marketing and marketing career, just like this one. So if you're new here, welcome, and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos, more content similar to this one. And with that said, let's get into the actual conversation and the tips that I want to share with you. Number 1 is to study the roles within the agency. Get familiar with the team, get to know them, get to know what their day-to-day looks like, what responsibilities they have within the deliverables, within the projects that the agency has, and which accounts each team member is working on. That's also relevant because sometimes in some agencies there are so many clients and so many client accounts, so that's usually the terminology that you'll hear in an agency. They will have many accounts that they work on, and you want to ideally know which team members work on which accounts. So that means that if they're the same accounts that you will also work on, then those will be the people that you'll be in contact with on a regular basis. So try to get to know them on a personal level, but also about what they do on a day-to-day basis, what their goals are, how their performances are measured. Also, while you're getting to know them, I would suggest to set up these short coffee chats where you can introduce yourself to them, but also hear from them what their experiences are of working with those accounts within that agency, if they're willing to share, and ask them what their tips are to have a good experience and succeed in the job that you have now, because they're the insiders, right? They will know the best and they can provide you the best tips about how to succeed in that environment specifically. So make sure you have these like introductory coffee chats with each member that you'll be working with. Next one is a little bit connected to the first one, which is finding a mentor, finding someone that you can shadow in the agency. Some agencies already have this in practice, and when I joined my first agency ever, I actually did have someone to kind of shadow and learn from very closely, and he was the person that I would ask all my questions to, whether they were very simple, whether they were complex questions, or whether I wanted to learn more about a client that we were working on. He was my go-to person. It's really important to have someone like a mentor or a guide within the team that you can have as your go-to person. And I know it's challenging on their part because they already have all their tasks, all their busy days ahead of them, but it's really important for you to adjust properly. So if this isn't a usual practice that the agency follows, I would still ask if they can give you someone to kind of have as a go-to person to ask questions. Who is your source to find answers? Hopefully you can find this person. This will eventually make life much easier for you, your learning process much smoother, and hopefully you'll get on board with things much faster. The next one is to study the pricing models, to study the work arrangements that the agency has with their clients. So some agencies have one-off, just short-term projects with their clients, and some of them prefer recurring and long-term relationships with their clients. So try to understand how the agency sells their services, and if they have products as well, you can also look at them too, but usually it's services because it's an agency. Study how the agency sells their services, not only how they pitch and how they actively sell. What I mean is study the pricing models and the work arrangements, because that will inform you about how many clients, which clients you'll work with, which clients have been a client of the agency for a longer period of time, which ones are more important because they may have this humongous budget that you work with, and so on. So study the different relationships that the agency has with the clients, the current ones, and then also study the pricing models and the service models for prospect clients as well, and also how they approach clients, how they do outreach, how they bring in new clients. Study those models, study those engagements. Even if your role is not necessarily doing demand generation or outreach or account management or sales, business development, whatever, even if your role isn't actively involved in that process, the work that you do makes more sense once you understand the service model. Next one is studying the clients. So you'll likely work with a couple of different client accounts. So study those accounts first. Start with those because you'll be responsible. You'll have to get to know the ins and outs of their business, the contacts that you have at that company, who you're going to work with on a day-to-day basis, and then who you're going to report to, because that may also change. Sometimes you work with a certain position within that client's marketing team, but then when it comes for the monthly reports, you're going to be in contact with someone else. So get to know the different members in the client's team that you're going to be working with. And to do this, number one, ask for information, ask for stories from the people that you are going to work with within your agency, within your own team. So ask them about their experiences of working with the clients. There's usually always a story of how they onboarded that client, how the engagement is, and how the attitude is, if it's a very stressful, if it's a very demanding client. Those are important tips to know. Some are very flexible and very casual, very fun clients, or they have a different style when it comes to, reporting. And those are just kind of those insider tips that will help you to be prepared, but also to deliver the best work that you can for that specific client. And the second piece is studying your clients is to get to know their industries. And sometimes you'll have cases where you have 5 different clients and they all are the same type of businesses and all work in the same industry. But to be honest, this is very unlikely. You'll usually have different types of businesses, different sizes, different niches, and different industries. So you're going to have to study their industry, their competition, and how you can deliver the best work for that company specifically, as it will be a unique case. Next one is an interesting one, and who knows, maybe you'll disagree with me, but I think this was very important in my experience. Try to prepare yourself and get into the mindset of customer satisfaction, customer engagement, and try to learn how to have better conversations and how to manage conversations with different types of people. There will be cases where you'll need to keep your calm and your reason with you at all times, because sometimes the clients will be extremely stressed out and they will be putting all of that pressure, all of that stress onto you. And in those times, it can feel really overwhelming and really frustrating. And if you're not prepared that this may come, or how to deal with a situation, how to deal with a challenging situation that you've never experienced before, it can feel really rough. And I know people crying in these types of conversations or getting really emotional. And I'm not saying that getting emotional is absolutely the wrong thing to do, but ideally in a business environment, you should be the voice of reason and logic, and you should be able to keep your calm and kind of put the emotions aside, because that person, that client, is not actually attacking you personally. They are just not happy with the situation, the work that you delivered. They're unimpressed, or they have a lot of stress on their shoulders and they kind of exert that onto you. So in those cases, just be prepared to have difficult conversations and learn to manage those conversations better, as well as learning how you can apply some customer satisfaction principles principles and practices into the work that you do. Let's move to the next one, which is mastering the art of multitasking. And sometimes, yes, this isn't unique to just marketing agencies. There's multitasking in all kinds of jobs. But in a marketing agency, it's a unique case. Believe me, you have to master multitasking. You have to learn how to divide your time, how to plan out your days and your weeks, because you'll likely have to hop from one task to another. You'll be switching from one client to another, and this switch is drastic, right? So in a regular in-house marketing team where you would be working on different projects or different timelines, different deliverables, but they will all be around that one single business, one single industry that you're working with. However, when it's a marketing agency and when you have a portfolio of clients, you'll be hopping from one task to another, but you'll also be hopping from one industry to another, one different client to another. So there's many different variables that come into the picture in terms of that multitasking ability, multitasking work structure that you'll have. A couple of things that you can do about this is to learn the tools that can make your days easier, make your life easier, that can kind of give you a system and just optimize your processes in terms of how you work and how you kind of go through your checklist of things to do. And the second suggestion I can give you is find out what times of the day or what days of the week work best for X client, and then what times work for Y client the best, so you can divide your work accordingly, and you can also allocate certain times for having conversations with the internal team as well, so you can kind of create your own structure and divide your time and agenda accordingly. I know it's been a while since Ada joined us for any videos, but she's sick, so that means no daycare, and I was filming while she was sleeping, so now she's up and she's going to help me finish this video. Okay, now that brings me to my final 2 points. Next one is knowing your limits. Okay, we talked about having a lot of work, having a lot of stressful work, and having to multitask between many different things, and having to manage a very difficult calendar. But at the same time, you have to know your limits. If you're already managing the accounts for 5 different clients, and you know that if you take one more, you're really going to explode and the quality of your work is going to go down, you need to make your boss, your manager, aware of this fact, and you need to let them know that it's going to be too much. And just so knowing your own limits and communicating this is going to be really, really essential. And that brings me to the final one, which is being fast and being very responsive. So yes, we said that you're going to be doing so many different things, and one thing that working in an agency requires you to have as a skill is to really be able to adjust to that fast speed, to be fast, responsive, to move from one thing to another very quickly. So you can't really take your time and slow things down and enjoy this task for a very long time and then take your days in responding to client emails. Those things are usually really urgent, and when a client sends you a message, they usually expect a response pretty fast. And I know that it may be challenging and it may be not realistic, but that's just what it is. And in time, as you learn your own processes, you're going to be able to communicate that better to the clients as well as your team. But while you learn, you are expected to be responsive. If someone sends you a message and you don't respond for a week, then that's alarming, and that will likely go to your boss, your manager, and the clients will let your manager know that you've been irresponsive, and they're going to seek out for his help and his attention because they need an answer. So that's about it. That wraps up my suggestions on how to survive and thrive and stay sane in a marketing agency environment, in a marketing agency job. And that hopefully also gives you an idea of what it's like to work in a marketing agency. And please don't take it wrong in the sense that, oh, this sounds so challenging and I wouldn't be able to do this, or this sounds like a very terrible experience. Who would ever go for a marketing agency job? I would absolutely not want you to think that way, because as I said in the very beginning of this video, it's also a very rewarding experience. It may not be ideal for everyone. I totally get that. And in fact, I actually had a kind of discussion with someone very recently about whether or not I would still, at this point in my life, take an agency job. I wouldn't. But the Elif in her 20s, it really worked for me, and it was a rewarding experience that I was able to adjust to that fast speed. I loved that fast speed, and I was learning so much. So as I said, like, there is obviously the challenges, but then there's also a lot of rewards that come along with this experience. So that's a whole different topic for another video if you're interested. But there's also another one that talks about the difference of working in an in-house marketing team versus a marketing agency. So if that's a question that you have, then I will link the video up over here and also in the comments below. So if that's interesting for you as well, go check out that video after this one. But if you have more questions around this topic, feel free to add them in the comments so we can have a chat there. And that's a wrap for me today. Hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful, and I will see you next week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Ada, let's say take care. Bye-bye. Can we say take care? Bye-bye? Oh my god, you're so sick. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Can you say it? Bye-bye. Can you say bye-bye? Come on, you can say bye-bye. Do you want to say bye-bye? Do you want to say bye to my friends? No? Okay. Bye-bye.